giving them time and challenging people in class to combine the things that they already know how to do is maybe one of the most powerful things that you can do.
Try not to plan every minute and every day and every week. Because if you just follow your script, you're not teaching the students in front of you.
If you stick to the script too intensely, you stop looking at what's happening around you.
The problem is weekenders don't even make sense together. The Friday class is a spin class and then the Sunday class is a connection class. It's like, hello, shouldn't we work on connection before we work on spins?
I have a ginormous pet peeve with naming things advanced. Ginormous. I really don't like it because it really sells an idea that people are going to buy that's not the thing. It's not the thing at all.
The advanced there may be the advanced for the community, for that studio, for that teacher, but that word means nothing. It just means nothing. Have you ever wondered if you're learning or teaching dance the most efficient way? What should we focus, prioritize, and learn more of? Well, let's find out. Hello everyone, and welcome back to ZoukNerds. In this episode, we are talking about something we are incredibly passionate about: designing a dance curriculum. Whether you are a teacher structuring courses or a dancer planning your own learning, this episode is for you. We'll provide a guide to help you assess your journey and understand the key concepts and goals for each level of dance. As teachers, we believe it's not just about what you teach, but how and why. So, join us as we discuss the goals we set for our learning and teaching, from essential rhythms and body movement to the critical skills of combining movements to build a natural and effortless dance. So, let's go! Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name is Alisson Sanji, and let's welcome back our beautiful and amazing co-host, Gui Prada. Hello, Gui.
Hello, Alisson. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome back.
And today we want to be talking about curriculum or syllabi, or however you structure your dance courses, or for those of you who are learning as a dancer, however you want to plan your learning. This is something that we are very, very, very passionate about. And we have lots of people that comes to us very often, whether we are in DC or wherever we are, because it's something that we really spend most of our time on. And maybe just a disclaimer here to start the episode. We want this to be a guide. Okay, so this is not going to be the Brazilian Zouk Ultimate Curriculum that you can write from week 1 to week 32, and you're going to follow it, because that's not what we do. Now, what we do, it's more about the concepts and the ideas and the goals that we have for each level. So we do believe that this is a nice guide that you can come back to every now and then to just go like, okay, how is my dancing learning experience journey going? Or as a teacher, how am I teaching and why is my beginners struggling with this and my level 2 or intermediate, however you structure it, going, and how can I do better? So let's talk about first what kind of student we have. Because different communities will have different students, right? We might have crossover dancers, which are people coming from different styles. So they already have some movement, they already have some understanding of timing, connection. And then you have what we call the muggles, the ones that they can walk because they learned how to walk when they were babies, but that's about it. Yeah.
Left and right, it's a whole journey to figure those things out. And let's not even get to count and music, because they were never introduced to these kind of things. Or maybe they were, if they were musicians, or if they had some gymnasts or martial arts training, they have some movement background, but not exactly in a partner dancing format. So Gui, I have a question for you. What are the things that you're looking to achieve when you're teaching your beginner's course at first? what are the qualities? What are the criterias that you'd like your students to achieve by the end of that course?
Very good question. And before I respond what is this thing that I want the students to achieve, it's important, I think, to give another disclaimer. My experience so far has been with District Zouk and the fact that we organize our classes, our courses in cycles of 2 months. So 8-week cycle. So what I'm going to say here is what I'd like the student to achieve at the end of a 2-month cycle. I think if I had more time, maybe the expectation would be different for the beginner students. But with the time that we have, our goal is that they arrive at the end of that journey, or the initial steps of the journey, knowing the timing and knowing the basic principles of Brazilian Zouk in what comes to dancing together and dancing in the opening. For example, simple direction changes. So they have some understanding of floorcraft, of traveling with the direction changes, understanding of floorcraft with the idea of position in relation leader and follower in lateral position, for example, that we are perpendicular to each other and the leader navigating those tracks around the follower, and opening the dance, closing the dance, and timing. So we don't have anything related to movements, the patterns that we want them to know necessarily. It's more like what structures we like them to know. And then structures include some patterns, but they are not, let's say, the main focus. Priority, I think, the timing, getting the rhythm down. Doesn't happen every time. We still have students going from basics 1 to 2, still, not fully comfortable with the timing, but we give some slack if they at least get like 80% of it. Yeah. What is it for you guys?
Well, on top of what you said, because I think we agree on most things when it comes to teaching, I would say I like to always dive into what they already know. Because a lot of the communities that I've worked with before, like in Perth, Australia, Melbourne, in DC, and now in Taipei, they have a lot of crossover dancers. So I'm trying to look at that specific group and understand what did they do before. In the warm-up, I can already tell, I can already kind of like see the hips moving, the upper body moving, and how they step, and little tics that some people have, like people from ballroom, they like to snap their fingers. And people from bachata, they kind of move with their chest first instead of with their feet and their hips first. And West Coast swing, they love to go with their heel first. So transferring on the heel. And just in the first week of warm-up, I'm already kind of like figuring those things out and then thinking about how to structure the classes as the weeks go by. Because one thing that we do is to have a set amount of movements and concepts and goals to achieve by the end of that course. Sometimes the course moves very slowly and we achieve all of those things. Sometimes the course moves very fast and we achieve all of those things and more. Now, when I say more, I don't mean that I teach them new movements. I don't move them into the next level. What I teach them is more details, more variations, more change of directions, like he said, more things in a horizontal level of learning instead of a vertical or diagonal. So whenever the students are like picking things up very quickly, cool, no problem. Let's keep going. And then I stop the class and I go like, okay, guys, look, you guys are doing great. I think you guys can see that you understand this very nicely. So what I want to do is actually something that usually we work on a much higher level, but I think we can give to you guys, which is a detail about this or that, instead of like, oh, let's do a new move. Because yes, they kind of got the basic step or the viradinha, but they're still dancing like a different dance style. They still have that thick, heavy accent. Or maybe they don't have an accent. They don't have anything from another style because they've never danced before. So then we go into the quality of movement, into this is how we move the hips.
This is how we hold our upper body and how we touch our partner, and diving a little bit more into that. Then when things are getting good and we've already covered that, if we still have time, what do? We do combinations. And I know you might be thinking, oh, so you just do some combos? No. Combinations is not exactly what normally we refer to combo. What I'm saying combination is actually trying to go from movement A to B to C to D. Okay, good. Now let's go from D to B to C to A. Good. Okay, now let's go from B to C, back to A, and then to D. And combining the movements that we already learned in that course in different ways. But why is that? Well, because that's what we do in social dancing, right? We don't choreograph things. And that's one of the things that people don't learn until they are like well past in their 3-6 months. And some schools don't actually do it ever. You know, they don't go into like how to put this after this and how to go from here to option A, option B, option C. So even then, at that very early stage of a beginner's course, we can dive into that. So summarizing, the timing, weight transfer, basic movements, change of directions, small things like this in the course. And then we move into quality of movement, ease of movement, principles of connection and floor craft. If that's good, then we move into let's combine it. Let's get the body responding, not just thinking, but responding to things in different ways. Because just as an example, a simple turn into a basic, a simple turn straight into a viradinha, and a simple turn into a lunge will feel very different. The combination of those movements will feel very different. So we already kind of start giving that little teaser there for the next levels.
And the thing that is cool about what you're saying, Alisson, is that can be all in the course of one level or one course, let's say like that. So you have your level 3 course. Everything that Alisson just said in the course of one level 3 or in the course of several levels. You do that over time with the students. So you have the thing that you do in a span of 2 months, 4 months, I don't know how long. The thing that you do in the span of a year and a half. So when planning the curriculum, these aspects that Alisson just mentioned are there constantly, all the time. You have the moment to present something, to clean the thing, to go deeper into the principles, to combine stuff. And I think the difference between combinations and combos for us, the combination is putting together pieces that they know how to do individually. The combo is a whole new pattern. It's a whole new thing that you need to break down step by step. The combination is after the simple turn, a bonus into a lateral. It's a combination. It's 3 movements that people know how to do, but the challenge is to place them together. And that's, I think, my people, one of the most important parts of putting a syllabus together, putting a curriculum together. What we learned is the biggest difficulty, especially for the leaders, is combining the things that they know.
Oh, yeah.
So giving them time in class and challenging people in class to combine the things that they already know how to do is maybe one of the most powerful things that you can do. And is going to take you away, at least it helps us a lot on that front. It takes you away from that mindset, we are moving too slow. We're not teaching anything new. It's been 3 weeks, we're still doing this thing. When you work combining the movements that they know, the act of combining is itself something completely new to the students, like Alisson was saying. Simple turn to viradinha, simple turn to lunge, simple turn.
Just a basic step.
Just a basic step. The leader needs to position themselves in different places in order to do that transition. The follower needs to arrive at the end of the simple turn with a certain balance and structure in order to go through the transition. So the transition becomes something new.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that here at District Zouk, we needed to almost like do a work of convincing people in a way that that's okay, that that's the something new. When we say horizontal, it just means that we are not teaching a new pattern, but we are still teaching something new. The transition is something new. So big recommendation, dedicate time in your curriculum, in your syllabus, a big chunk of time to combine stuff. So if you have been teaching in your course, you taught the bonus, you taught the traveling turn. Traveling turn, we call the simple turn that travels forward. And a yo-yo, for example. On the next week, why are you going to teach something new? You know, you could, or you could take time and say, okay, now yo-yo, traveling turn, I don't know, bonus. So bonus into yo-yo into travel simple turn. Travel simple turn into bonus into yo-yo. From the yo-yo, you know, mix these things and see how people figured it out. This might be most important part of the learning, especially in the early stages.
And I do believe that it's harder than the actual movement that we are working on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is.
I remember back maybe 15 years ago when I was doing a lot of shows, I started doing gymnastics training. So I used to go to this gymnasium and have a private lesson with this coach, teaching me trampolining and floor things, bar things. I don't even remember the name of the things. So for like months, I was going there and doing these single things, very technical, very methodical single things. And I'm like, yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do this. Cool, cool, cool. Every time was something new and I felt good about it. And then we started combining things. Bro, I didn't know my left to right when I was like in the trampoline. Oh, now you're going to start from your feet and then bounce on your back and then bounce on your front and then land on your feet. No, we're not. No, we are not. Because honestly, once I do feet to bum, the next one is whatever happens. Honestly, I had zero control of what was coming next because the transition and the awareness of the body, the mass, the momentum, the speed of when I go down a little faster, when I go down a little slower, when I go down and my body is a little sideways, all of those things were completely something that I should spend another 6 months on. So as we were talking about this, I almost had an idea here that is not fully realized. But what if we did a transitions level, in between levels? You know, a transitions course. Let's say you have 3 beginners level, 3 intermediate level. So in between the beginners and the intermediate, maybe you have like one level that is transitions. Just working the transitions from every single angle and every single option that we can possibly think about. That would be so helpful because that is exactly what a lot of people struggle with when they go to a class, or especially when they go social dancing, when they go to a festival or weekender. They know how to do things separately, but they don't understand how to connect them other than basic lateral, bonus, traveling turn, basic. That's it.
Yeah.
Like the standard number 1 meal of Brazilian Zouk, or the standard number 2 meal, standard number 3 meal, and that comes as a set meal. Let's mix those things up. You know, let's kind of go buffet style and start from the salad. Next time we start from the hot food. Next time we start from the dessert. And let's go.
Yeah, it is a super interesting idea because we created a moment in our evolution, in our curriculum, that is the variations. You learn the movements, the basic execution, the classic execution. Then we go into variations, having the transitions embedded in the courses themselves. A course of just transitions would be incredible, you know? I think that's something that I'm going to recommend to those who are listening, which is the curriculum. The evolution has a moment to learn the piece individually, a moment to connect the pieces, a moment to vary within the pieces. So you have the pattern, the combinations, and the variations. And that, my friends, takes away a lot of the anxiety of having to teach something new all the time. And that is something in the back of the head of every single teacher in this planet, I think, or for a time, and then it goes away, which is, I need to do something new now. I need to do something new now. They have been on this for a long time, you know. So this is something that can bring you a lot of peace when you realize, when you do it in class, that what you thought was a simple transition. Oh, simple turn bonus. There is one that I call the Brazilian Zouk rotina obrigatória, when I translate this. In samba de gafieira, one of the Brazilian dances, we have the rotina obrigatória, which is mean a combination of 3 fundamental steps that you almost like learn as a one single piece. So in samba de gafieira, we have the round hook, gancho redondo. We have the puladinho, which is like very similar to the Brazilian Zouk troca de perna, the leg switch stuff. And peão, which is a peão, né? So we have gancho redondo, puladinho, peão. These 3 steps is our rotina obrigatória. Rotina obrigatória means the mandatory sequence or routine. Yeah. And in Zouk, for me, is simple turn, bonus, elástico. You combine these 3 things and you see people crumbling in front of your eyes, you know?
Dear Lord.
When you realize that that's not as easy as it sounds for the person who is learning from you, you have almost like an awakening. Oh my God, I can do more of this. I can do much more of this. Another one, soltinho. You start with soltinho and transition from soltinho to the bonus. Try that in your class. Just ask people, from the soltinho, a bonus. Let's go. And then what's going to happen? They're going to go back to lateral. Say, no. Don't go back to lateral. From soltinho, straight into bonus. And watch. You might surprise yourself. You're like, oh my God, you guys did it? And you might learn from how they do it, which happens to me all the time. Because I was thinking of a transition and they find out another one. So I asked the person to come to the center, like, show us what you did. Or you might be surprised by how hard it actually is for the student that is learning the pieces individually.
Yeah, when you look at those things, in Brazilian Zouk, well, guys, I'm going to get a little nerdy here, but in Brazilian Zouk, you have movements that move with your partner and movements that move in opposition to your partner.
Yes.
Right? And the movements that move in opposition to your partner, they're really hard because a lot of the times the track is going to mess everything up. The distance between the 2 bodies will mess everything up. And like the availability of the line, where the line is, where the line can go, which is like the follower's track, can mess everything up. So in that soltinho, let's say you finish the soltinho, the leader is too close to the follower. He's not going to get the connection to send the follower to a bonus.
Exactly.
Finish soltinho, the leader is on the line of the follower. Well, the line is not available. We can't do bonus. Finish soltinho, the leader is on the opposite line that they should do to do a bonus. Technically, they can do a bonus, but not the bonus they know.
Yes.
Not the bonus they know. They can do a sort of a different type of bonus. Still works like bonus if you look into it, but it's not the bonus that they know. So now they're like, oh my God, 3 tracks. Which one am I? Distance. Or even being like turning your body early enough to indicate to your follower that you need the hand, and then creating enough intention for the follower to travel down the line instead of just going around them. Oh my God, guys. And that's just 30 seconds of me nerding out, but there's so much more. So much more that can happen.
Exactly. I think you mentioned everything, actually. I think you mentioned everything in the sense of everything that the transitions work. The transitions work on a lot of new things. Positioning, like where is the leader in relation to the follower? Distance, how close it is, how far it is. Free leg, what leg is free? Because some transitions, the leaders or the followers tend to skip a step, hold one step. So the other leg is free and they don't know what to do. So when you work on transitions, you, the teacher, find out a lot of stuff to talk about that you didn't realize before. Yeah. And the student as well realize, oh my God, I'm too close. My arm is this close to my body. How can I reach a bonus from here? Which is like what you were talking about. Yeah.
Or elastical, like from bonus to elastical. Most of the times the leaders are too close.
Yes. Oh, and guys, for us, elástico doesn't include the Raul by default. The elástico is
the reverse body movement forwards. Yeah. Reverse body roll.
The elástico is the follower in the basic and the leader crossing or walking around while the follower is in the basic. And then we add the reverse body roll later as an addition. So this might be one of the most magical things, and was a decision that we needed to make, I think, and a decision that we invite everybody to make when they are planning their curriculum is, do you want to be a one-stop shop studio or school in the sense that they're going to learn everything from you? Or do you want to be the person who is going to teach them the essentials and let them learn the rest in the workshops, in the weekenders, in the socials? Because for some time, I think we wanted to be subconsciously a one-stop shop. We want the student to get everything from us. Therefore, the curriculum was getting more or less packed because there will be a voice in your head or someone saying, oh, but we didn't include this. It's missing this. We didn't talk about the hammer lock. We didn't talk about this thing. We didn't talk about the other thing. And then we need to say, guys, we only have 8 weeks. We have to choose a priority here. What we're going to talk about. If we talk about all the things, there is no time for repetition. There is no time for transitions. There is no time for variations. We just keep going. And I think a lot of us teachers and the students as well, when they come into the school, there might be some sort of expectation existing somewhere in your being that you need to give it all that exists about this. And I truly think that we need to find a harmony between how much time you have to teach in terms of how long is your class, how long is your, let's say, course, and what is the essential that you want to give to your students. And plan based on these 3 principles. How much time you have for your class, how long is your course, and what are your priorities, And then from there, you go.
Yes. Plan. But don't plan too much. Try not to plan every minute and every day and every week. Because the reality is, whoever is going to show up is going to show up. And guess what? If you just follow your script, you're not teaching the students in front of you. Being adaptable to the moment is one of the most important things. I like to say that the students tell me or let me know by how things are going, how to teach them, at what pace to teach them, and a lot of the times by what they ask in class. Sometimes I'm in a class or a workshop and the student has the courage to put their hands up and ask a question. Then the teacher goes and answers that question, but then doesn't address this question in the class, doesn't incorporate that amount of information in the class. Because let's always remember, if one person asked, multiple people might be thinking about it. So, I'm struggling to see my partner in this moment that I need to see their hand here and there. Yeah, sure. You answer the question, okay, it's because you're doing this and because your partner is doing this. But take that into consideration. Why did that happen? Did I not talk about something earlier? Should I talk about something later? Should I do a different exercise? Sometimes we stop the class and we go like, okay, everybody, let's just pause. Everybody, face this way, do this. Because we do a whole different drill about that one thing or about that connection, about something very specific, because we see that it's a problem that is happening with the entire group. And it's not in my plans. It's not even in the level or in the script. Maybe it's something I teach in a private lesson, but I felt strongly this is something that we should do now.
And yeah, of course, we're not changing like the entire class, but for a couple of minutes, give them a different sensation and experience that can make them feel like, oh, how do I put my shoulder in place? You know, maybe just ask another person to pull the shoulder. Okay, now put the shoulder back in place. Okay, good. Just do this a couple of times. And then we go, okay, everybody, let's go back to partners and let's focus on that feeling of keeping your shoulder in place. We don't know what we don't know. Sometimes we don't know what does it feel like bending our knees. We just do. But if we put an exercise or feeling attached to it, then people are going to be a little bit more connected to it as they're dancing and practicing.
Yeah, things to create contrast, né? Show them what you are wanting them to feel and the opposite of it. So like creating some sort of contrast is always helpful for teaching purposes, né? And I think, Alison, what you were mentioning is really powerful as well, because if you stick to the script too intensely, you stop looking at what's happening around you. And of course, we have all done that. Né? We have all done that. Our curriculum for many moons was on a weekly basis. So we divided by week. And the decision was made to just be an order of content. We're going to teach the content in this order. So the curriculum is more a guideline and less of a rule book. Yeah, because it needs some time and space for you to look at the students and see that you might need to make some changes, and you might need to talk about stuff that is not in the curriculum. It might be the most difficult thing for teachers who are beginning their journey, a little bit more insecure and wanting to prove that they know what they're talking about and want to prove their knowledge to those who are more senior than them, like in the school or the owner of the place or something like that. You want to do a good job. And then you want to make sure that you talk about everything that is to talk about. And sometimes because it's not in the curriculum, there is this hesitation in talking about the thing. Oh, but it was not in the curriculum, you know? So we invite people to say what they want to say. And if you're seeing something that is important to mention the thing. Because for the person learning from you, they don't know that they don't know. They don't know that it's not in the curriculum. They don't know any of these things. Just we know these things. So if you are this person in a position of reference point and you are giving the permission to teach a group of people, go ahead and do your thing, you know. And if it's not appropriate at the time, and this thing of appropriate at the time that I mean is mostly like this might have been a little bit more advanced or a little bit more detailed than this group is ready to receive, for example. This is the appropriate that we are meaning. It's more like gauging how much detail you give to how much understanding the student has at that particular point. We talk about it later, but in the time, if you felt, oh, this is good to talk about the thing. Then. And another thing too about what you said, Addison, which is the difference between planning the class and how the class is going to go individually and planning the whole curve of learning. So at times, I think these two get mixed up or these two get confused in some way. And another invitation, but this is harder. And it comes back to what we mentioned, I think in 1 or 2 episodes ago about the engagement of the teacher. What episode we talked about this? I think it was how to find a good teacher, né? Like the great teacher episode. The engagement of the teacher. Many times we have seen that the teacher can think of the course as a group of individual classes that sometimes don't necessarily connect to each other. And that sometimes happens. So it's really important that we try as much as possible to see the classes of the course, for example, as one very long class that is divided in, 8, 10, whatever. So you don't think I have 1 hour on a Tuesday, 1 hour on the next Tuesday. No, you have 8 hours, but they were divided in 8 portions, but they are continuous, so that's so hard to do, guys, because if you have, for example, what is the goal of the course? To get people more comfortable with, let's say, the reverse body roll. And that's something that you want to achieve by I don't know, week 8 of your 10-week cycle. Let's say your cycle is 10 weeks and you go by week 8. On week 1, you were starting to talk about it, but not necessarily breaking it down. But you're starting to get people going through the motions. Week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You were talking about the topics that you need to talk about, but you have in mind, week 8, I want them to be able to do how. And then you build that way. So thinking systematically, thinking your syllabus as a system might be one of the most incredible things in the world, because when you do need to introduce the harder movement, the harder pattern, you see them just doing it in like 15 minutes, what once took 2 classes for you to introduce. Né? That happened with us in the soltinho, that happened with us in the S turns, in the lateral S or whatever name the S has for you. That happens to us even like in the direction changes, in the basics, doing together. The fact that we were doing separate in the warm-up for like weeks and weeks and weeks, when we put people together, it just happened, you know. So this system of the curriculum is something really important. So thinking about each class while having in mind what is coming next. And I say it's hard because it requires you to be in a level of engagement with the process that might be hard to connect right away, because you might forget, especially if you have several classes to teach, you might forget what is the thing of this course. So you might need to go back every time to the syllabus document that you have and consult it from time to time, and not necessarily just look at what is the topic of the day. You know, scroll down and see what is the topic of the next several weeks, and then go back to the topic of the day and go like that. Scroll down, scroll up, scroll down, scroll up. And then you're going to have, I think, more of the systematic view and approach to the curriculum.
And that's something that we also do in our weekenders. And for those of you who teach weekenders or organize weekenders for your community, please do that with your guest teacher. Gui and I, for example, when we have weekenders, we always coordinate with the local teachers and with the local organizers. Sometimes there's like a set program, like Gui has set programs, but still there's some adaptability there. And sometimes it's very custom. So we have a meeting and we go like, okay, what do you guys feel like your community needs? This. Cool. Okay, so on Friday we start with this, and then on Saturday, first class we do this, and second class we do this. Sunday we do this, and then Sunday we do this. And it's one long class. I also usually request the organizer to make only full passes. Oh, but people don't like it. People this, people that. I have to disagree, because people like what they're used to, right? So changing is difficult. But every community that I've worked with, and we've managed to change the idea of the weekender being as one journey. Once they experience that one journey from beginning to end, they understand it. The problem is usually weekenders don't even make sense together. The Friday class is a spin class, and then the Sunday class is a connection class. It's like, hello, you know, like, shouldn't we work on connection before we work on spins? Oh, but Friday night is better to do spins because more people are going to come. No. Or because I want to sell the weekender, so I just do a spin class on Friday, and then maybe people are going to sign up for Saturday and Sunday. No, I'm sorry. It doesn't work that way. I wouldn't do that because it's not good for the experience that I want the student to have for the end of the weekend. So as an organizer and as a teacher, let's really think more about this. Let's meet with the artist before we release the schedule. Organize a video call, or maybe write things down and get their recommendation or approval. Some artists are very much like, you plan however you want. I'll just show up and teach. I'm cool with anything. I like to be involved. And some artists, they have just a list of things. Hey, these are the classes that we normally like to teach. So then you can think about the progression of it and make it a nice, beautiful journey for your students. Because then people are going to get more used to the journey, and they're going to get more used to signing up for the full weekend instead of just the Sunday, because, I'll just do the Sunday ones because the Sunday ones are the ones that are going to challenge me.
You're actually not going to get the Sunday one because the Sunday one needs something from Saturday and the Saturday needs something from Friday. So it's all or nothing. So it's not just courses, but boot camps, weekenders, anything that you can plan, try to plan as a journey.
Yeah, so these that you mentioned, Alison, really remind me of something that I am really particular about in what comes to aligning the expectations of the students and of the teachers in what comes to what level is this class. You mentioned Sunday, né? Everybody wants to pick Sunday because that's going to challenge me more. Because there might be a label there saying advanced, or later intermediate or something like that. And sometimes people create expectations, and I say people in general, the teachers, the students, everybody creates by looking at the name of the level of the course, for example. So your curriculum has a level 4. People are like, oh my gosh, level 4. So 4 means experienced, advanced. I align expectations and say, guys, our higher leveled courses just mean that people have been in our structure or dancing a little longer. It doesn't mean that they are fully embodied in the things that they learned. And that's a distinction that's really important because so many times when I got to a place and I was like, oh, you're going to teach our level 3 or you're going to teach our level 4. Our level 4 students are going to be there. Then I make an assumption, oh, these are the experienced people. And then during the warm-up, I see, yes, no, not yet, So it might be that the higher levels, they might have just learned more patterns and have the dance more in the body. They do have more experience, but they're not necessarily higher level of understanding of the dance, of embodiment of the dance that you can say, connect a simple turn into a bonus with your elastic, and they're going to be like, okay, done, That has rarely happened because that became my test. When I get to a place, we say, we're going to begin with these 3 movements here and And sometimes works amazingly well and then we go from there. Sometimes it doesn't. So aligning that expectation is something that it might soothe your soul so much, especially if you are a teacher. We were preparing our teachers here to take over our Fundamentals 1 course. So we have 3 basics courses, 1, 2, 3. They're 2 months each. So if somebody does these 3 courses in a row, they'll be dancing for 6 months. Then the Fundamentals 1 course begins. So Fundamentals 1A, 1B, 1C, and then Fundamentals 2. There was a training that we did was to align expectations of what a Fundamentals 1 student knows how to do. Because the assumption at first was that, oh, they got the basics down. And I said, no, they didn't get the basics down. They learned the basics. If they are down or not, that's a whole different story. So that's another piece of your curriculum, my people, is aligning the expectation of what that student of that level actually knows how to do and knows what to do. And then you go from there. Alice and I, we had so many frustrations on that regard whenever we would go to a class that was labeled this thing. And we had this idea of what a student of this thing should be able to do. Then we get to the class, several things are not there yet. And it's like, come on, people. We are in this level here, So like knowing what your level actually means is really, really important. So when a student comes, you understand, oh, okay, this is expected. That's another part of the work of designing your curriculum. And it might be something that you will realize after you start putting the curriculum in practice. And then you're going to realize, okay, so when a student gets from this place to this place, this is how much they know. So we are very careful naming things as advanced. I have a ginormous pet peeve with naming things advanced. Ginormous. I really don't like it because it really sells an idea that people are going to buy that's not the thing. It's not the thing at all. We see this in weekenders and workshops and festivals and things. And in your regular class, in your weekly stuff, the impact, I think, is much bigger. So keeping that in mind, align the expectations of your students in your own, in your teachers, in what comes to what is this level what is it that the student of this level actually knows what to do and how to do.
And then when it comes to looking at what are the things for each level and how the student passes from each level, we like to think about minimum requirements for entry and for completion. So to enter this level, these are the things that you need to know, minimum. And they are a combination of moves, techniques, concepts, soft skills, all of the things to enter and to move on. So it's very rewarding and at the same time reassuring for the student when they understand what those things are. Sometimes we have to ask the student, hey, you need to do this class one more time before you go to the next one. You're like, well, but I can do all the moves. Well, that's one of the elements. One of the elements. You know, maybe the posture is not up to scratch for the next level. Maybe the quality of touch and connection is not up to scratch on that for the next level. Maybe it's something else, right? So we need to be able to tell the students. And if you are good with writing and with printing things out, or maybe creating online documents and websites, put that somewhere where people can see. These are the things that we're going to cover in this level. These are the things that we're going to cover in this level and in this level. To enter this level, you need this. To complete this level, you need this. To enter, you need this. To complete, you need this. So then people really understand. I think in the social dancing world, most of the times we are learning very blindly. Oh, my teacher tells me, or whatever course I sign up, therefore I am. I sign up to intermediate level. If the teacher doesn't kick me out, that means I'm an intermediate. No. Dear Lord. But yeah. And let's not forget, the beginner level in your community and the beginner level in another community, completely different.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Completely different. How many times talking about the advanced pet peeve? How many times people are like, oh, but I do the advanced classes from so-and-so in this school. And I'm like, okay, so Chinho, Bônus, Elástico.
Yeah.
Then nothing. Just nothing. Crickets. Because no, the advanced there may be the advanced for the community, for that studio, for that teacher, but that word means nothing. It just means nothing. So I think it's much better for the students' education and also accountability. They can become more accountable for their own learning. Like, okay, so this is what I need to do for the level 1, for the level 2, for the level 3. Oh, damn, I'm going to miss 3 weeks of the level 3. Go to your teacher and ask them, hey, can I do a private lesson? Because I want to make sure that I cover these things that you're going to cover. Because I want to go to the next level. I don't want to have to do this one again just because I missed 2 or 3 weeks. Like, people take more responsibility for their own journey when they know what the journey is.
Yeah.
Now, when the teacher is just like, whatever, show up. And then at the end of the course, you say to them, no, you're not good enough. And they're like, but why? How? I didn't know I was supposed to be good at this. I didn't know I was supposed to be good at that. Oh, but I told everybody, every class that this is important. That's not enough.
Yeah.
That's not enough. And we just have to do better as teachers, as communicators, as somebody who wants to reinforce a certain level of accountability and organization. Then we need to do better in promoting and communicating that.
Yeah, that's true. Because there are 2 different scenarios that I'm thinking about here, Alisson, as you mentioned all of that. There is a scenario of those who have like a good amount of students. They have like a good structure. They are teaching twice a week, for example. So they have enough classes. And the scenario of those who are starting, they have 1 day of the week to teach. For example, their classes are 1 hour long. They need people in the door. They need to do stuff. So in these different scenarios, I can see the difference in letting people progress through your levels. And there is one thing here that is important too, what aligns with what you're saying, Alisson, that I also think is really important, is the fact that the student did the full course, it came to all the classes, it doesn't mean that they completed the course.
Nope.
That's a distinction, my people, that I think is very important to make for you and for the student themselves. Saying to complete this course, you have to meet a combination of a certain percentage in attendance, coming to this many classes, and know how to do these things, which like you're saying, like something to go in and something to go up. And aligning that earlier, and then it comes again to what you're saying, Addison, be better communicators, be better at setting that expectation. Because how many times we set the prerequisites, for example, have completed this course here. And the person did come to all the classes, but did not absorb the content. So have they completed the course? If we didn't communicate that there were some prerequisites on top of doing the course, of coming to the classes, we cannot say, oh, you didn't complete it because we didn't say anything before. So it's being more mindful. That's why we are talking about systematically, like planning the curriculum systematically. So when you also tell the student how the progression goes, you also mention that it's a combination of attendance and having these things here. So at District Zouk, we have the assessments where to know if the student can go to this course, we need to dance to attest that these prerequisites, there are like techniques that we want them to know, are met. They meet the prerequisites, good to go. Yes, at 10:30 p.m., there were people coming to do assessments. Like they were arriving, like, oh, I'm new here. I just arrived. I was told that I need to do an assessment, blah, 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 blah. And they always, like, it's very common that people come to do an assessment and they look at our schedule and they see head movements 2 and study group, advanced training team. 99% of the time, they want to be assessed to see if they can go to those courses. 99% of the time. And then we make the assessment and say, oh, basics 3. And the person is like, oh, okay. But because I was doing, like you said, Addison, because in my city, I was in this thing here. And then I say, no, I totally understand. And then I explain, because our curriculum here, we work in a system, and I break down and I show in the website, the curriculum, all the things. And then they're like, okay. When I show them the pieces that we need to be connected in order for a person to go to that particular level that they wanted, they tend to understand. But we need to break it down, you know? So again, comes back to like this broken records thing of the engagement in the process and the system, the ecosystem of your progression, of your curriculum.
One last example before we end this episode. In some communities, an advanced level may be 6 months. When you get to 6 months, so you might be doing like a level 1, level 2, level 3, and the level 3 is the advanced class. 2 months of each. After 6 months, you've achieved and you've completed the advanced level in that city. In the way I structure learning for maybe somebody who comes 1 hour and a half per week, every week of the year, I would say you finish intermediate after 3 years. In the way I think about it, in the way I structure, and the amount of things that I'm going to teach you in those 3 years, you finish intermediate. But intermediate compared to what? Compared to what I think an intermediate dancer is globally, including Brazil. Okay, I see dancers from every level, every country, every location. And I'm like, okay, an intermediate needs these qualities. An intermediate from anywhere in the world have these qualities, regardless of how long they've been dancing. Sometimes people reach that level of intermediate in 9 months. Sometimes they take more than 5 years. So the amount of time is not necessarily how well you dance. Some people have been dancing for 10 years and other people have been dancing for 1 year. And that person who's been dancing for 1 year may have put 10 hours a week. And because of those 10 hours a week, because of how much they've trained in such a short time, they may be as good or better than somebody who's been doing an hour or 2 a week for 10 years. So really, I think in the end of the day, there's so many things that needs to be taken into consideration. It's not white or black. It's a very difficult thing to deal with. But the best we can do our job, the better it's going to be for the community to understand that there is a certain expectation, a certain plan and journey, and that everybody goes through that. And we respect that, not because we are crazy, tough teachers, but really because we want everybody to have a great time during the journey, not just, sell you a class and you figure it out. Whatever happens in the social, it's none of my business. That's not how we see things, We see as the whole community holistically, not just my class, that hour with you, and then the rest, it's up to you, So it takes a lot of time. And with that, I hope that this was a good episode for all of you who are learning to dance or teaching dance, or maybe interested in someday starting a dance class. We hope that this was a nice guide for you guys. And there is only so much that we can cover in an episode. So please go back to other episodes and come back for future episodes to continue learning from all of the experiences that we share here. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, share. Do all the things that you can to continue supporting us so we can continue doing this amazing, beautiful podcast that we love to do so much. So thank you for being here once again. Thank you, Gui. And beijos, abraços, and ciao, everybody.
Bye, people.